Hello and welcome to the show. I'm JJ Flazanes, your host. Thank you for downloading today's episode. If you're downloading today's episode and listening to it on the day it is released, today is Tuesday, September 10th. And for those of you that came to the webinar, I made two very special offers that expire today. So this is your reminder for those of you on the webinar that after today, they are done. So if you are interested, or if you're listening to this and you couldn't make it to the webinar, but you're ready to take action because you know you need help, you need support, you need either my expertise or a community of people, you can go ahead and email me, jj@jjflazanes.com, and I'll be happy to send you those links. But today is the last day. Speaking of webinars, it was super fun. Thank you all for attending. The next one is actually going to be Tuesday, October 1st at 5 p.m. Pacific time and 8 p.m. Eastern time. And this one's going to focus on menopause. We're going to go back to health and wellness and weight loss and aging because some of those questions came up during this webinar, which was on manifestation. And while they are directly related, I did not have the time to address all of those. So the next webinar, again, is October 1st. It's a Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And again, there will be free gifts for those of you that come on the webinar live. So I don't have a sign up page yet, but just mark your calendars and I will let you know ASAP. If you're on the email list, you'll get the email about that. So if you're not on the email list, go ahead and go to jjflazanes.com. Go to the free section. There are lots of different freebies that you can download, which will put you on the list. And then you'll be sure to get the email with a link to sign up for the webinar on menopause. And mostly because I'm thinking of calling it transcending menopause for those of you that are in that stage of life or you know somebody. Menopause and andropause are a part of our evolution. Menopause and andropause are part of the natural progression and evolution of our bodies. And certain things happen that if you don't plan for it, can take you by surprise and leave you uncomfortable. So I just want to make sure everyone understands how to prepare for it if you're not there yet, and how to deal with it and how to overcome it and transcend it if you already are there. Okay, so today's show I am super excited about because, again, it's Joyce Dales. And Joyce is the owner of Cold Be Gone. This is her third show. And she is a wealth of knowledge in the areas of bees and all of the bee byproducts that come out of bees and how good they are for our health. And so while she doesn't really have any other things to sell at this moment in time except Cold Be Gone, which is an amazing product, she's going to be developing products, but she is giving so many health hacks on today's show. You're going to want to take notes and you're going to want to listen more than once, and you're going to want to be near your computer to get on Amazon in order to put some of these things in your shopping cart. So Joyce Dales is the president of Buzzagogo and the maker of a product called Cold Be Gone Nasal Swab Remedy. It's a homeopathic Manuka Honey based remedy that you swab in the nose to fight cold, flu, and allergies. Joyce created it to protect her newly adopted daughter after a serious medical crisis left her little girl immunocompromised. Joyce would like to share with us the importance of the nose to our immune system and how you can protect your family using the power of honey. Today's show, we're going to talk specifically about the other aspects of what bees create for us. Today will not be a honey discussion, so I hope you enjoy today's show. Welcome back to the show, Joyce.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
We brought up a lot of different topics about the healing power of honey, and we did a part 1, we did a part 2, and we still hadn't even scratched the surface of the other things that come from bees. And so I thought that we, and most of us, including myself, don't have a lot of experience with things like propolis. And so I want to go over the other bee things that are out there for us and why we would use them, what they are, what they do, how to take them, how to ingest them, how to have them, kind of thing, what to look for. So, but before we start though, I know you've had some recent really great success. I want to share your success story that keeps getting better and better. Do you want to share with the audience sort of what's happened since our last show? I think you went to get into Walmart. Is that what it was?
That's right. I got invited to Walmart Open Call, which is sort of an initiative of Walmart to increase U.S. jobs. And they are looking for minority-owned companies, women-owned companies, and I got picked to go. So I got to go to the Walmart campus in Arkansas. And I don't know what I thought would happen in Arkansas, but it's not at all how I pictured it. It was shockingly beautiful. Some parts of it looked like the south of France. And in my little naive brain that had never been in that part of the country, I didn't know what I was going to see. And then the town of Bentonville, Arkansas, where Walmart was founded, was literally like Mayberry, and not Mayberry in a way that it was manufactured to look that way, but that the town is exactly the same as it has been for 60, 70 years. It's like something out of a postcard. I couldn't believe it. And that weirdly in this Mayberry town were gays, lesbians, people of all races, all kinds of churches for all religions. It was the most diverse Mayberry I'd ever been in. I don't know how to describe it. I felt like I was tripping while I was there. It was really fun and really enlightening.
But you weren't there just to go visit Arkansas and the Walmart.
True.
You were there to pitch your product to get into Walmart, right?
True. Yes, I got sidetracked. Yes, and that was an amazing experience. I got half an hour with the head buyer for my category for cold and flu and seasonal wellness, and he loved it. And I am slated potentially for 2020 placement because they do our categories a year to a year and a half in advance. So now I'm in the sit and wait phase. I got a soft yes, and now I'm in the 6-month process of being vetted by Walmart. And then hopefully you'll see my product on Walmart shelves. And I don't know if that means one Walmart or 4,000 Walmarts sometime in 2020.
Very exciting.
I know.
So we were with you before we were about to get into the CVS, and now you're about to get into the Walmart. So
Right.
everyone keep your eye out for Cold Be Gone to be in Walmart for 2020. And of course, we'll let you know via social media. And of course, follow Joyce in her social media and Cold Be Gone. And so let's, so back to the bees, back to the things that bees make that are beneficial to humans. So besides honey, Joyce, what other things can we ingest or utilize that have medicinal properties that bees make?
There are 3 primary things outside of honey. There's bee pollen, bee propolis, and royal jelly. And I'm sure everyone's heard of those in one way or another. But it's funny, as I do research about this, and I keep binders upon binders of everything I find on the subject, there's one takeaway. We'll just skip to the end of the show where I say you should be taking all 3 of these things at least every other day of your life. That's how beneficial they are.
So I know I've heard of all 3 of them, and bee pollen is used in different ingredients. I've seen rubs with both royal jelly and bee pollen in it, things for your skin.
Mm-hmm.
I think things on the shelves that in natural food stores. Propolis, not so much. So can we go over each one of them and how they're different and how they're different and what they provide?
Yes. All right. So bee pollen is pretty straightforward. Everybody can imagine what that is. It's what's collected on the bee's legs. It's pollen. And it's called bee bread. And what people use bee pollen for mostly is to ingest it because it is just loaded with beneficial vitamins, phenols, antioxidants, and your B vitamins. It's really beneficial. It's people use it for every ailment under the sun, for your skin, for your hormone health, your fertility, everything. It should be basically considered part of our food groups. We should be eating bee pollen. When you eat honey, you are getting bee pollen, but when you take it in an encapsulated form or even buy it to sprinkle on your food, which I prefer not to do just because I'm a big baby about when things taste funny, but bee pollen can be incredibly beneficial, and it doesn't matter where you get your bee pollen from with regards to geographics or the regionality of bee pollen. Whatever's local to you is what's beneficial to you, just like eating honey for allergies. So bee pollen is it's a food. It's a high vitamin, high potency food that we should all be taking because it gives you energy and it helps alleviate every imbalance in your body, and it helps ease all sorts of digestion issues. So that's what bee pollen is good for, and that we should all be taking it every single day. I take mine in a capsule form.
All right, let's talk about that. So are there, because I know with some foods, they are better raw or they are better when they are delivered with another vitamin that helps them get absorbed. What is the best? So I heard capsule. And is there a specific brand that you like, or a compound, or it needs to have X, Y, and Z things in them, or it has to say cold pressed, like those kinds of words?
No, bee pollen is something that you can just get from beekeepers generally. Now, I take mine. It's hard to say. I like to take mine just encapsulated because, like I said, I don't enjoy swallowing bee pollen, the taste of it. I'm a big baby about flavor. But I have bought bee pollen that you can sprinkle on your food. You can put it in your smoothies. There are bee pollen granules that can make a super antioxidant smoothie. People incorporate bee pollen into desserts and recipes. They've made salad dressings with it. So bee pollen is unique. It's like honey. You should consider bee pollen like your honey. It could be used in almost every way honey can. You can incorporate it into your diet in a huge variety of ways without compromising its value to you biologically. But because I just like to swallow my pills in the morning, swallow my pills in the afternoon, in the evening. That's how I like to take it because I'm just not a creative chef. I cannot find enough ways to incorporate it into my diet. Some people put it on peanut butter and sprinkle it on their toast. There's a variety of ways to take your bee pollen. And I don't have any one particular brand because I like to look for whatever's regional.
So, in doing a search for bee pollen capsules, I get things that are not necessarily regional. So, how would one search for? I mean, I even typed in regional bee pollen capsules. How would I?
I love YS Farms. Now, that's my go-to. Okay, so it's bee pollen capsules, and it's made by Y.S. Eco Bee Farms. And it's a wonderful multifloral, meaning the bee has gathered from a variety of plants, not just one. And I just think they produce excellent bee products. So YS Eco Bee Farms. And I'm going to come back. That was going to be my recommendation for Propolis as well, this maker.
Okay, I just want to make sure we have a resource because obviously, if we're recommending taking it, I want to, because I know for me, while I am probably more creative in the kitchen, well, I used to be, I know, and I hopefully will be again here soon. Besides energy, timing, and getting used to my new space, I would be someone who would sprinkle it like with peanut butter or an almond butter or nut butter of some kind.
Yeah.
But just like when life is going, you just want the easiest, fastest, best way to do it. And so a capsule is that. So I just want to make sure we gave people somewhere to go and get it.
Well,
So,
YS Farms also has the blends of powder and granules. That they have every type of bee pollen you could ever want in terms of its form. So if you're the kind of person that would prefer to make smoothies, if you're the kind of person that would sprinkle it in your salads or whatever, and if you're an amazing chef and you want to incorporate it in your food, YS Farms has one of the most complete lines that I've ever seen.
okay, great. All right. So that's going to be the recommendation for probably a lot of these things. And it's online, easily found. All right. So we have the bee pollen. And now I know you said all of these would be best to be ingested on an every other day kind of basis. Is there overkill? And before we even get into propolis and royal jelly, is there overkill anywhere with having too much of it, or does one thing kind of cover all grounds? I know that we love them all because as you study them, it's like, when you study certain vitamins and vegetables and you think, oh my God, this is amazing for this and this is amazing for this. But then we look at, okay, well, are we really going to do all of them all the time? And the answer is probably no. So we have to end up with, well, what's the best? And what if you only had one thing you could do, which one would it be? Don't answer that yet.
Oh, I know the answer. Oh.
Okay, what's the answer?
Propolis.
Okay, so let's move to propolis.
Propolis. Well, let's do our royal jelly really quick because royal jelly is not as elaborate. Propolis is it's just amazing stuff. But if we talk about royal jelly, it's also amazing stuff. But again, you treat it like your pollen, your bee food. Propolis is the one that you cannot incorporate into your diet and into recipes. Royal jelly, honey, pollen, you can. Those three things should be part of your diet, either however you prefer to take it. But I treat them as food medicine. Whereas propolis, yes, you ingest it, but you cannot incorporate propolis because of the nature of how it's made. It has to be either encapsulated or broken down in alcohol in order to and be used as a supplement. So if we went back to royal jelly, now royal jelly is sort of the mother's milk of the hive. It's what the worker bees make in the queen cell to feed future queen larvae. So it's the superfood for their most precious babies. And it is a superfood for us as well. It's also fantastic on your skin. It's something that we could incorporate into, they do incorporate it into everything from hair products to of treating toenail fungus. Royal jelly is amazing stuff. It's just like the pollen. It could treat, if you were to Google what is it good for, they're going to say every ailment across the board. So that's how you use it. You just take it for general wellness.
So to think about the state of the bees right now
Mm-hmm.
and how we're in trouble and we need people to focus more on not using pesticides and what we can do about saving the bees. Please don't kill bees. We want to want them to flourish. We want to encourage more bees because otherwise we're in deep trouble. And I'm thinking about this mother's milk and are any of these things taking away from the bees? My guess is no, because you wouldn't be doing this if it was. But can we explain how? Because if like mother's milk, like, don't they need it?
Well, they make plenty of it. And when bees are harvested, or when their products are harvested responsibly, there's more than enough. There's an excess. So there's more than enough, and in the right conditions, the bees are not in any sense of the word in a deprivation for what we as humans take if it's done responsibly. And most of the time, beekeepers are generally very much into protecting Mother Nature and very responsible people and respectful of their tiny little workers.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
I figured
I
I
worry
want
about that too. Totally. Everybody should worry about that.
right.
Those are the right questions to ask. Absolutely.
Okay, so bee pollen, royal jelly, but you're saying if you had to just pick one, you would do propolis. Let's explain what it is, where it comes from, and why it's amazing.
Propolis is known as bee glue. Basically, it's a resinous material that's produced by honeybees, and they produce it when they take parts of plants or buds or trees. They chew it up, and their saliva and their enzymes mix with it, and then they mix that with beeswax and some other compounds from their own metabolism, and they create this tarry resin. It's very sticky, and it comes in a variety of colors from yellow to red to brown to green. And then they have that's used as a protective coating in the hive. It's antimicrobial, antibacterial, antifungal. It's used if there's an invader, an insect that comes into the hive, or even a rat comes into the hive and the bees sting it to death. They will encapsulate the rat in propolis. It was even found in Egyptian tombs and used in mummification because it is completely antimicrobial, and that way they can protect the hive from a rotting invader's corpse and no harm will come to them. So it's sort of this protective resin made by bees.
And what is it best used for, considering that, like you said, it's antimicrobial and it's protective? Like, so in what ailments are we trying to protect ourselves? Is it more like an anti-aging thing?
No, God, no. It's so propolis has to be either chewed on. They used to call it Russian penicillin. Russian beekeepers just chew on it when they're feeling sick. It needs to be ingested, or it can be applied topically. And it's so rock hard and tarry that it needs to be broken down with a solvent. So usually ethanols, alcohols, things like that are used to make it liquid or tarry so you can ingest it or apply it to a wound. Propolis is known for it's been studied for everything from glucose control to inhibiting the growth of MRSA and other antibiotic resistant bacteria, just like some honeys. It's also used to be anti-inflammatory. It completely helps you soothe your digestive system. It's antifungal. And one of the most interesting things about it is that it can even assist, well, they're studying it now, so I got to be careful about any claims, not that I sell this product, but it can even help with cancer growth. It's been pretty widely studied in Japan and in South America for inhibiting tumor growth. It's unbelievable stuff. We should be taking it, all of us, every day.
And taking it as opposed to, why would we place it? Why would we do it topically? Like, what would we use it?
Well, let's say if you had a wound Just like Manuka Honey, I'm all about applying propolis, in particular propolis sprays. Let's say you're out at the playground or whatever, and you get a horrible scratch. I used to keep a propolis extract spray from a Vermont beekeeper in my purse, and I'd right on my kid's wound, because until I could get home and clean it, Band-Aid, Manuka Honey, I would use the propolis to clean it, because nothing can grow in the propolis. It's amazing stuff. It's an antioxidant. It is, and here's propolis. It fascinates me. So propolis comes from all around the world, and just like honey, for each type of honey and type of bee in the world, there's a different type of propolis. And while honey can have different variants in it with its makeup and its vitamins and its beneficial properties based on the season or how that plant was that year, or if the bee varied where it gathered pollen from. Propolis, even though its compounds are different in all different parts of the world, and it is deeply affected by seasonality and weather, everything, most propolises can achieve the same thing in terms of your wellness. So a lot of propolises have the same medicinal value to us. So that's why I say whatever your propolis is to you regionally, if you can get your hands on something local, it's incredibly beneficial to you. But there are a couple propolises in the world, just like super honeys, that have special properties. For instance, there's a propolis called Brazilian propolis, and there's yellow, red, green, and brown. And each one of those has different anti-cancer properties, and it's astonishing. It's been studied most extensively in Japan, and I think that everybody should have, who's battling cancer right now, everybody should have some red and green Brazilian propolis tablets or capsules in their medicine cabinet to be taken every single day.
Do you know all the different, I mean, what if we talked about it? Would you, the red, the yellow, the green, the brown?
I don't know
That's
all of
okay.
them, and most of the scientific names are astonishing, but I know that there are propolises for all the primary regions of the world, like Tunisian propolis and propolis from Turkey. All of them have some of them are being studied. All of them anecdotally have different values to be taken, but getting your hands on that stuff is next to impossible. If you're a world traveler, if I were to travel from country to country, the one thing I do come back with when I go to Europe is wherever I am, I look and see, do you have pollen? Do you have propolis? Do you have honey? And I try to get it home if I can get it through customs.
Well, this is very hopeful. It's another tool in the toolbox for sort of anti-cancer things. And you mentioned tumor growth with propolis. Is it just about stopping it, or is it about reversing it? Is it about breaking it up? Do you know?
I'm not entirely sure. I believe it's about, it shrinks the tumors. From what I've read in all the studies about, specifically, it was about small cell tumor cells for lung cancer. And I was doing, and this is how I stumbled on propolis originally, from my own father's lung cancer battle, and then a good friend got lung cancer. This was astonishing to me that this was so well studied in other countries and not touched on here in the United States. Pretty typical. And I, right?
Right.
And that's when I learned about it. And I couldn't believe that I think there was like 700 different propolis studies talking about just cancer. And I'd never heard of it before.
Well, that again, like I said, is very hopeful, because I think when people are looking for what else is possible, what else is out there, what else can I do, if we don't know about this, it's not an option. And once we know it, we can at least try it, because obviously it's not going to hurt anybody to try it. It's only going to improve your health on some level, if not do exactly what it is you want it to do. So propolis. Okay. So thinking about taking that, ingesting that. Now you mentioned using something to break it down into a liquid. Why would in liquid that goes into a capsule, or is there another way that we would ingest it, like as a liquid?
You could. There's tinctures or sprays. I find them to be pretty strong, especially if you're trying to administer to a kid. I once got a propolis syrup from Vermont that was blended with elderberry, and I would give my child a capsule of that if they had any kind of stomach issue, or if I was worried about sniffles at all, I'd do my Colby Gone and this syrup from Vermont, boom, done. No sickness. So if you can find your propolis blended with something else to ease the flavor, because propolis is a very strong flavor. Some people find it pleasant. I find it incredibly unpleasant. I'm going to be honest about that. And when it's mixed with alcohol, it's like a strong shot of something you got at the corner bar. But if you can tolerate it, nothing could be more beneficial. But it's always going to be a solvent-based product, because the propolis is a tar and it has to be broken down. The good news is that propolis, unlike honeys, when it's, I guess, adulterated like that and a solvent is used, it does not inhibit any of the beneficial properties of the propolis. It still maintains most of its flavonoids and phenols and all those beneficial things that we need. Whereas honey, if you were to even heat it to the wrong level, you're going to lose most of the benefit.
Well, that's amazing and good
It's
to
hardy
know.
stuff. Yeah, it's hardy stuff. Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's obviously a concern, because people who know about raw and eat things and, and cook things, that some of those vitamins, if not all of them, and the enzymes get killed off in the cooking. So to know that it keeps its properties is important, because as we have found out since, I think, first or second show, there are like fake honeys, right? We talked about that with the Manuka, and that there are people sort of creating things that aren't real, and you're paying a lot of money for something that maybe not be authentic.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're expecting it to do things that it won't. And in this case, that's probably not happening with bee pollen, propolis, and royal jelly, or more so with just honey, and a little bit in these cases.
It's harder to fake the other items. They're honey, you can fake honey. You can put corn syrup. You can do all kinds of stuff with honey and pass it off. It's a little bit harder with the other products, because you have to really know what you're doing to harvest them. Now, I have seen products listing like face cream that has propolis. I'm sorry. I just think royal jelly is more topical and beneficial when it comes to beauty products. Propolis is more internal. It's for your health or for wound care. So your royal jelly would be the one thing you would look for. Like, I've seen soap with Manuka honey listed in it, and face creams with Manuka honey. I don't see the value in those things specifically. Okay, because Manuka honey belongs inside your body or on a wound. Same with propolis. Royal jelly, absolutely beneficial in beauty products.
So that's a good thing to talk about, because we're talking about marketing right now, like looking at, I think it was, I don't know, a peanut butter brand that wrote like gluten-free on it. I'm like, peanut butter is naturally gluten-free, right? But it's like a marketing thing. And so they put it in because I think someone's like, oh, because a lot of us don't know any better. I didn't know any better obviously if you're putting Manuka honey on a wound, then I would think, well, then maybe it wouldn't be so bad in a facial product, but it isn't as effective as a royal jelly, which is sort of where that can be absorbed probably more easily, right? Because it's of the consistency of it. Like you said, it's like mother's milk versus the thickness of the honey that could possibly, not necessarily come into the skin or be absorbed by the skin as easily. And so, but we don't know that. And, this conversation is a great one to shed a light on some of these marketing words that companies use that you think, oh, well, great. And like, again, gluten-free. You know how many things say gluten-free on them that are naturally gluten-free and don't need it to say gluten-free on it?
Right.
But because most manufacturers know that people aren't going to do their homework, they're not going to ask the right questions. Like, I think someone once showed me a box of something like a rice noodle. It's gluten-free. I'm like, yeah, rice noodles are naturally gluten-free. But because it's a noodle, people go, oh, all noodles, because most people don't cook or they don't create things. So they don't know the difference between a wheat noodle or a rice noodle or a quinoa noodle or a corn noodle. And they're just like, it's a noodle. Well, it's made with different things, and all those different ingredients have an effect on your body. So that's why I wanted to go over these different, what would we call them?
Buzzwords.
Just buzzwords. I mean, like the propolis, the bee pollen, the royal jelly,
Well, they're using those things as buzzwords in marketing, like you just said. I mean, anything with honey is a hot property. People just think it's more natural. Well, that honey could be produced in a factory in some other country and completely adulterated. That's, anybody, I saw Manuka honey on Dial soap. Are you kidding me?
Well, this is one of the reasons why this is the third show on honey, okay? Because not only do we come on to talk about Cold Be Gone and on the healing properties and immune boosting properties of Cold Be Gone, but obviously we got deep into the honey because it's your passion. And I love finding, these amazing things in nature that we can use to heal ourselves naturally. That's what I'm all about. And I think people also appreciate that because, we talked about the vet with your wounds and the cat bites, and that you use Manuka honey, and that the doctor acknowledged that. But it was sort of this like laughing about, well, of course, right? So that's why we're having this conversation about, natural things, because there's benefit in all different types of medicine, from Ayurvedic to naturopathic to functional medicine. Even Western medicine provides obviously some benefit to many, many people, depending on where you are. But most of us do like the idea of finding something more naturally made coming out of nature that would be able to do something better and as strong, if not stronger, than some kind of over-the-counter pill that got made in a lab that has more side effects than it does benefits. So, when we talked about the healing power of honey, we opened up this whole new like, whoa, because I don't know anyone, people are looking for superfoods. They want the trick, what's going to make the biggest bang for my buck. And it kind of sounds like when we do something like propolis, that's probably stronger than taking vitamin C when it comes to having your antioxidants. Would I be correct in that?
Well, yes, but vitamin C in massive doses cannot be beaten. That stuff is, but when it comes to, I think if you're on a long journey, like for instance, there was this study of people with type 2 diabetes, and they took propolis for 6 months, and they reduced their blood glucose by a tremendous amount, their A1Cs, mental clarity, everything, and their blood values in general improved all around, their cholesterol, everything. That's amazing. Why is that not front page news? Why is that not front page news? It's because it's propolis. It's because you can get it anywhere. And the pharmaceutical companies, they know propolis has amazing medical value. For instance, when it's used in conjunction with antibiotics, your antibiotics are like twice as likely to succeed. You can use it in your vagina for yeast infections. You can use it to help fight cavities. There's now propolis toothpaste. Now that's one product that when it has propolis on it, I pay attention, because propolis toothpaste is effective. It has been shown to be almost as effective as, I forgot the other word. Never mind. It was awesome. So, that's just the pharmaceutical companies are trying to find ways to turn this into something that we can't have access to unless they provide it. But propolis is just something that's been around since the beginning of time. Do you know there's this saying called I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, it's a Latin saying, ad fonte, and it means back to the source. And that's, I think, where so many of us are headed right now. We're going back to the source. The pendulum has just swung way too far off out into left field here, and it needs to come back. We need to go back to the basics, and things like royal jelly, propolis, different types of honey from around the world, and bee pollen are some of it's nature's most powerful medicines, and all of us should have it in our cabinet.
I agree. And I love that saying. And the toothpaste, I'm super excited to research a little bit more about. And back to the diabetic conversation and the blood glucose, I think that, the average person, me included, would think, well, but it's a honey-based product and honey is glucose. So why would I be taking sugar for someone who can't metabolize sugar?
Royal jelly has a very low carb content, very low. It's primarily other compounds.
Right. But again, that's where the education is needed,
Yeah.
where people like you who are studying this are educating people like me, who then help educate other people out there who are listening to the show, so that we don't get scared by some of these things thinking, why am I going to eat this? I'm a diabetic, and this comes from honey, which is sugar.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Of course, that would be a fear I would have, because I'm careful about that sort of thing. And, I'd love to be able to tell people, I'm working on this as a company. I'm working on sourcing products for myself to sell, but finding things like, I love YS Farms. I can recommend them for almost all of these products, because that's who I use as my source right now. But a lot of this is just, biohack it yourself. For instance, I just said, propolis is really beneficial for yeast infections. Well, I don't have a way for you to do that. I can't say, go find this brand of propolis and, use it for your yeast infection, or how to use it for your yeast infection. But I know that it's been studied for that. I know that it's beneficial, and it's up to people to biohack their own health and figure out what that means. For instance, the last time I had a yeast infection, I haven't had one in 5 years, was, this is so TMI. This is all TMI I'm about to give you, isn't it?
That's okay. Well, that's what we do on the show.
It's what we do. All right, we as girls, this is what we do. We're biohacking this crap. All right, I took a tampon and I soaked it in raw milk yogurt, Manuka honey, a little bit of propolis extract, and up it went. By God, 4 hours later, I was right as rain.
And that's for yeast infection.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everything from, and I've done, years ago, I had HPV. And years and years, like we're looking at probably over 10 years ago, maybe 14, 15 years ago. And I had one abnormal pap smear, and she said, do you want me to, I think I like freeze it off and do all that. And I was like, well, give me 30 days, to heal it myself. And then if I'm not successful, then yes, we can do the procedure. So in that 30 days, I went to acupuncture. So I was doing acupuncture once a week. I was drinking herbs and I was inserting them. I was putting, I think, 2 to 3 or maybe even 4 capsules. I was inserting them up there in the vagina every night. And I would run them under warm water first, put them up, and then go to bed. And so then as I'm sleeping, they're basically dissolving and doing what they do. And I would have a pad on so that when I got up in the morning, and for those of you guys that are squirming, just deal with it. It's fine, okay? Because when you have an issue, we're going to have a solution, okay? And it's going to be natural, but whatever. So I get up.
A healthy vagina is beneficial to everyone, okay? It just is.
This is true. You want vaginas around you to be healthy so that way you can participate in them. And when they're not, then they get cut off from you. Think about it that way. Okay. So save the bees, save the vaginas. Okay. We have just moved into explicit territory with the show, but that's okay. Anyway, so I think I did that for, I don't know, maybe it was 2 weeks. And at some point I might've done like a douche, like some kind of herbal through the acupuncturist. And then I went back, and when I had to do the pap smear, I said, cause I don't know if those of you know, sometimes they'll just sort of take a section of cells and they won't hit the whole thing. So then later when you come back years later, maybe now we're getting a different section that they didn't get before. I said, just make sure you scrape every single surface of my cervix to get a really good reading. And I haven't had an abnormal pap smear since. So
bravo for biohacking that.
Right. And same thing with, I'm now working with some of the oils, and and it's been told to stick it on a tampon, just like what you said you did. Like, we need to get it up inside. So whether it be some kind of douche or you some kind of pill that's going to dissolve, or the capsule, or whether it be something that you're putting on like a tampon, something you can insert inside, just so that you can get those properties inside for a little while that are helpful. I mean, I do vagina steaming, so I put some oils and herbs in the steam. Anyway, we'll have a whole show on that at one time.
Oh, the vagina. Yeah, the B and the V. We'll do that. Because I've also done coconut oil, put it in a little bit of saran wrap or something, and then mix in your probiotic, your Manuka honey, whatever you want to put in, and then you twist it into sort of like a hard candy shape, put it in the freezer, boop, right up. Easy peasy.
Nice.
Because the coconut oil hardens so quickly, and you can make your own, what is that called? Suppository.
Nice. That works. That's awesome, because then it melts real quick too.
Yep,
so it goes where you want it to, because it's solid, and then it's going to dissolve quickly and melt, and you're going to get all that squishing around in all the right places. So anyway, now that we've completely gone down the other path here on the show, you understand the point. We're talking about biohacking, but we're talking about, and here's what I want to suggest, and I want everyone to be clear on. I want you to really follow Joyce. I want you to buy Cold Be Gone. I want you to give it to your friends. I want you to buy several boxes of it. And I want you to support Joyce, because she's going to be the first person coming out with these products, because you can hear how passionate and knowledgeable she is about this. And while I'd like to say I'm going to participate, my way to participate is to send you all to her so she can continue the work that she's doing, because we want it and we need it. We want it to be more easily accessible. So that way the people that say, I don't have the time to continue biohacking every single thing I need, because there's a lot to do in the world. There's a lot to do in our lives. And sometimes the self-care routine can get so big that people just give up and say, I'm tired and I don't want to do it. So I want to make sure that people know that you're doing this work. This is not pressure for you. I'm not putting you on the spot here by saying, I need you to have a new product done by next year. I just know.
I understand. I'll be working my butt off though. I swear, for all of us.
Well, I know you are. And that's why I'm supporting this and supporting you, because I want to be able to come to you with, hey, Joyce, I have this thing. What's the best kind of honey byproduct that I could use, or bee byproduct that I can use to heal it naturally? I want there to be a source of here's my first line of defense. If that doesn't work, of course, there's always pharmaceuticals and drugs and surgeries and things like that. But I want to try first using, let my body heal itself naturally. So that's why I'm sending everyone. So let's tell them where they can go. Let's remind them where they can best get your current product and any products you're going to be creating in the near future.
Okay, you can go to www.coldbegone.com, and the B is BEE, like a bumblebee. Or you can go to buzzagogo.com, and that's the parent company. And we're working on several new products. We have Allergy Be Gone coming out. We have Happy Tummy Honey coming out. But I'm not stingy. If I know of something that I've used that's effective, I will blog about it on my website. I will post it on my Instagram of, hey guys, this works. Even if I intend to come out with that product down the road, I'm still going to share with you everything I've done to biohack it myself, because I know what it feels like to want to be well. And if I were to tell everybody listening, and thank you for this platform very much, if you do vitamin C, vitamin D, and you get these 4 honey products in your cabinet, boom, you have a full arsenal right there. That's the starting point for anyone that feels overwhelmed on a biohacking journey. Those items are the first things to go in your medicine cabinet. Start from there and move forward.
Totally in agreement there with your vitamin D suggestion. Can we just quickly talk about any suggestions you would have or recommendations for the kinds of vitamin C?
I have a favorite. It's a powder form, Aller-C. It's literally my favorite.
What, and is a powder?
It's a powder. Here's Hypoaller-C by Nutribiotic.
I actually have used that. I've used it.
I love that stuff. It's got the magnesium, the calcium, potassium, and zinc. By God, it hits, because if you have that, then you're covering the other minerals that you need for uptake. And it supports cardiac health. It does everything it supports the absorption that interferes with your ability to take up the C that you need to be well. Because we're all compromised in our ability to absorb our vitamins and minerals by the time we hit 40. We've all been glyphosate in the environment has just compromised our ability to absorb our vitamins. So Hypoaller-C is what I rely on for optimal absorption. I also use magnesium lotion on my legs before bed, or I take Epsom salts baths. So I would add that to my list of must-haves.
I worked with a medical intuitive who did give me the Hypoaller-C, and I really did love it. It's the fact that you're reminding me of it, because I haven't had it since. It's been a couple of months, if not a year or two. So, okay, great. I just wanted to, since we're putting it out there, and of course I'm recommending everyone do a liquid D. And the reason is that it has K2 in it. It's because we need that in the liquid. It's in fat, and we really absorb vitamin D when it's in fat. So some of the pills, and from experience, because when you take some of those pills, even if you're taking them with avocado or nut butter, sometimes it's not being absorbed. And in terms of dosages too, for vitamin D, you want to make sure that since we're on this topic, vitamin D ranges on blood work is from 30 to, I believe, 70, maybe 80 on that range. However, even if you're at 30 and you think you're in range, you're really low. Functional medicine wants you at 50 at the lowest, and even upwards to 80, 90, and 100, especially if you're dealing with cancer, you want to go higher. So up to 90, 100.
Guess what mine was at the height, when I began biohacking my life. Guess what it was?
12.
No, it was 9.
I was close.
You were so close.
I was close. I was giving you the double-digit benefit of the doubt. Okay.
You did. You gave me a few points. No, and the way I got it up was because I was taking vitamin D like a fiend, but I had to heal my gut, and I had to start putting my magnesium lotion on, and those two things together, healing my gut with my vitamin C and my magnesium lotion, suddenly my D went up to 29. But it was still a major improvement in my life.
Well, hopefully it's higher than that now.
I believe it is, because I feel a million times better. But I also, I did my my genes with, I forgot, it was ancestry.com. And I have like several genes that are Nordic genes where you just have low D no matter what. And I went to my functional doctor and I was like, do you think this is possibly why I can't seem to get it above 30? And she was like, yeah, absolutely. There's some people where, because of your genealogy or your genes, I mean, that may be your set point for wellness, because she can't find any other reason for it medically.
I
know.
Are you taking a liquid? Are you taking a liquid, or are you taking a pill?
No, taking a pill, and it is not liposomic. So when you said that, that was really interesting.
Well, I would try. I
Okay.
would try. Thorn is a great brand. I would try the Thorn D3 with K2. And I don't know what your dosage is, but we're looking at, most people think 2,000 is what we need normally just in daily life. And most people aren't getting 2,000. We work with people who are taking 5, 10, and 15,000. So if you're as low as in the 20s or 30, I think that 10,000 actually would be a better recommendation for you to take. And that might be why, and there's other reasons when our bodies, why we don't absorb it, then we also release it and we get rid of it. So I would say check out, do a liquid, Thorn K2 D3, up it to 10,000 a day, and see if it absorbs any better for you. Because even though you may have,
it just went into my cart as you're saying it right now.
Okay, good. Yeah, vitamin D, vitamin C. And even though, you feel so much better, 9 to 29 is a great jump. And 20 points is definitely going to move the needle on how you feel. But vitamin D, I agree with you, between immunity, anti-cancer, so many things. The vitamin D, vitamin C, and the honey products. So just to review one more time, we talked about bee pollen, royal jelly, and propolis. And we talked about YS Farms. Because guys, I don't do show notes. So you're going to have to take notes when you're listening. And then, of course, Cold Be Gone, BEE, gone.com to get Cold Be Gone, because if you don't have it by now, what you waiting for? There's one in my car, there's one in my purse, there's one in my travel bag, there's one in my bathroom, right? You just want to make sure you have it. Anyone that has chronic getting cold or flus, this is a good gift. Give it as a gift. So Joyce, always a pleasure. You're going to let us know when your first new product comes out so we can talk about it. And I just love what you're doing. I know that, you're that company that people want to support because you're for the people, and the products that you're making not only work, but they support the environment. So thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Thank you very much for having me on and for being such a champion for everything that matters to me.